Okay, so cookie cutter setup for Solar Fleet.
I think it was the first time that they fielded more than battleships. They brought it out at the right time, but their execution seemed to be a little bit missing. I think if Red Federation would have concentrated and primaried that scimitar at the beginning of the match, I think we would have seen them win this quite easily, because they were actually able to kite the rush team very successfully, which we didn't expect to see. Perhaps a few of the Solar Fleet pilots burned out their micro warp drives, as it looked like, and for some reason that Tengu at the end of the match wasn't firing at all. So I don't know, maybe they ran out of missiles, or maybe he burned out all of his launchers as well. Who knows?
Yeah, we saw two of the quote cookie cutter setups here, the Tengu kite team and the Minmatar rush team. It certainly went better for Solar Fleet this time than last time that they brought the battleships and worked it out. I kind of wish I would have seen something different. I like to see more experimental setups, but when it comes down to the line like this, you got to go with what's going to work. So,
I think there was interesting though about this match is that while they were both cookie cutter setups, there were mistakes made during the piloting of those ships, and we saw, for example, Red Federation shoot some random Sleipnir at the beginning of the match instead of concentrating immediately on that scimitar as they should have done. And those kinds of small mistakes, even for 30 seconds to a minute as it took place, before they actually swapped and killed that scimitar and were able to put Maktub down in no time at all, those mistakes cost you matches at this stage of the game.
and they just made liars out of every single one of them.
They did.
Well, maybe this was part of their tactic, seem predictable, so that people think that you're always going to bring something and then swap it around when it actually matters, which was something I was going to compliment Solar Fleet until a few of their pilots burned out their micro warp drives. But as a tactic, though, it worked out fairly well for them and obviously won the match.
But is it just the FC? Because we talked about it last week with Red versus Blue as well. They had that match where they just looked like they just win it straight off. They had the best setup compared to the other team, and they did a lot of stuff that no one really understood, and we're not entirely sure how the target calling was. Is this just a difference between the skill of the FCs?
I think it's partly that, but also when you're running a 10-man or close to 10-man team, the individual pilot skill comes into play as well. As we saw, people burn out guns, people burn out micro warp drives, and so on and so forth. So yes, FCing made a difference, but perhaps there was a reason Maktub kept his team small.
Right. You can have a good ship, but then you could also have a bunch of Michael Boltons on your team, and that doesn't always work out so well in the tournament.
Well, you never know. This was a kite versus a rush setup. Which would you rather be on? Who has the advantage when you field a kite versus a rush?
It comes down to piloting as well as the very fine details of what kind of anti-rush do you have mixed in on that kite. On an outset, it looked to me like Solar should have an easy run at this. But they didn't bring enough webs or scrambles or whatever. They didn't seem to catch to those Drakes and to the Tengus as fast as they perhaps should have done. Also, on the Red Federation side, they brought no logistics whatsoever there, and they spread all over the grid, which is fine when you starburst and go everywhere, of course. But yeah, it was a little bit strange. Things happened on both sides, but
with these two setups, I don't think kite or rush is inherently superior to either one. One doesn't counter the other, so it all comes down to individual pilot actions and FCing. So it just depends on this one. It was very close, came to 2 points. So
it was indeed very, very close. So we have 3 more matches. We of course also still have contests, and we do have a contest coming up. It is for a Logitech headset. It is a surround sound headset. I don't even know how surround sound works in a headset, but that's why Logitech are amazing. They figure it out. This is for the 2020 match, Razor Alliance versus Outbreak. Go to eveonline.com, go predict the winner of there, and you could win this headset used by NASA in space shuttles. That's the next prize coming up. but it's not the next match coming up. I believe we have White Noise versus Babylon 5 ... Is this just going to be a walkover for White Noise?
Yes, or a complete comedy for them. They don't need to win this match, and well, they can do whatever they like. I would expect White Noise to just go in there and trash Babylon just for the sake of killing ships. That's what Nink wants to do. He wants to kill people. So I expect that to happen, but they don't need to. They can bring out haulers for Michael Bolton if they really want to.
Why haven't we seen more comedy setups today?
I think it comes down to the fact that since we had the pre-qualifiers, people are more the ones that made it to this part of the tournament are more serious about it. And even though they have no chance whatsoever to continue, they still want the practice. They want their pilots to experience, what it is like to fly in a tournament. They want a good fight. Maybe this is one of the few places left in EVE where you can have a good, honest brawl without no sinos being lit and no blobs being brought through the gates.
I think there was a pretty good brawl just a couple days ago out in 00 space between two such alliances. What was it, Pandemic Legion and Goon Swarm? I think it was going pretty entertaining until someone lit a sino.
All right, so there was actually a battle that... Did you guys get hot dropped, or what happened?
There was actually a fight over a sino jammer. When it was all subcaps, everyone was having a lot of fun. I believe it was Goon Swarm and Mostly Harmless against Pandemic Legion and Evoke, and losses were piling up on the PL Evoke side. I think they ended up losing a lot more ships, but once the sign was lit, a whole pile of Titans came in and nobody could play anymore, and everyone went home.
We like to play with the feelings of the Goon Swarm. You give them a little bit of the line, and then you pull it back.
If by play you mean
you got
don't play,
look at him go.
Nobody can fight each other.
Oh, you two girls. But I mean, Goon Swarm and Pandemic Legion were kind of allied once upon a time.
We still are broskies.
Yeah,
really, we just love to hate each other.
Yeah. We fought for a long time side by side. Some things happened. They started harboring some people who we have shunned from our secret goon club. There's a lot of people we're still friends with. Some we aren't so much friends with. Shadu, you'll always be my friend.
I know.
Shadu.
Always be dear to my heart.
Oh, you two guys. Anyway, just before we go to the next match, maybe we can do one or two questions from the forums. We do have a few of them. Io Koval asks, and this is to CCP Flying Scotsman, will medals be visible on our characters when we walk around the stations?
Not right now. Right. Not for the first iteration, but it is something we have talked about, and something that Torvi Franz is very, very keen on doing. So there is a good chance we will end up doing it. I
would be basically Idi Amin if that was true.
What would a golden dung medal look like?
I think that we all know the answer to that one.
Flying Scotsman, I don't think he exactly knows what it is you do in Goon Swarm.
My sole and only purpose in Goon Swarm is handing out medals. That's it.
I'm pretty useful profession.
So I make sure to put as many on my own chest as I possibly can. I hope someday I can see them.
Okay, so medals are popular. We know that now. Yes. It's good information to have.
All right.
They're worth
apparently. Talking about medals, the pilot of the Drake from the earlier match earlier today was awarded the douche Drake honor medal.
Douche Drake honor. A term coined by Shadouche himself.
Oh yeah. All right. Io Koval also asks, how will the Minmatar militia be able to walk around in Caldari or Amar stations, for example? Will everyone be allowed everywhere?
No, everyone won't be allowed everywhere, but that will come down to players making the decisions on, their areas being off limits to certain people.
All right, interesting.
Yeah. No more than that I can't say.
Okay.
Sorry.
What if we do a quick spaceship question as well? Candy Cane, with a clever spelling. Candy Cane, what's the easiest ship to get into for a new player who wants to participate in the tournament?
Electronic attack frigates are always something that we look for and have very few pilots who have skilled in them. Of course, the reason for that is that they're not that useful on TQ right now, but perhaps after your interview last week, it is time to start skilling electronic attack frigates?
A lot of that completely depends on the setup that your team is going to bring, but most setups we've seen bring some smaller ships, interceptors, support ships, maybe a Badger or something like that. So if you have the right support skills, you could be one of those supporting pilots.
Interesting. Our match is ready, so I'll hold back on this very exciting question that I'll tell you all about when the match is done. But this is White Noise versus Babylon 5. What do you say?
White Noise.
White Noise.
Yeah, White Noise.
Yeah, pretty much White Noise.